Hi, this is James Gordon, Electoral Library here with a book review. Today's book I'll be talking about today, Goodbye California by Alistair Maclean. This was first published by Collins in 1978. Then it was republished by Fawcett Case Crest in 1979. This is a seventh printing from July 1988. This was a really disappointing thriller. While there are several other books by Alistair Maclean that I enjoyed that were really good thrillers, decent, this one was not one of them. This was sadly one of his stinkers. While it has an interesting premise of terrorists that want to cause a major earthquake with atomic weapons, however, the whole plot is a complete mess. It does not make sense most of the time. And it doesn't really help the fact there's no likable characters. Like, both the main characters and the other characters that aid in the main character are not likable. They're just mostly boring, flat, dull, and at times annoying characters to read through. And then you got the villain who is completely chilled, laid back, and never gets angry once or raises a voice. He's calm, collected throughout the entirety of the book, and he has no reason for what he's doing other than just simply wanting to do it because he felt like it. And a whole bunch of other issues and problems I had this book. This was a really huge letdown, and this book is thick. This book is thick. This is like 315 pages long, and the pacing is so slow. It's like a snail's pace to get through this entire book, and it was a real chore just reading through so many boring, dry, dull conversations, and I was just skimming through it like, come on, give me some action already. But there's hardly any action in this book. Hardly any. I know Alistair Maclean, like, he's more of like a thriller writer. He builds the suspense in his books, but this one was one of his dullest books I've ever read, one of the worst. So, I have read some other books by this author that I really enjoyed, and I'm definitely going to read more Alistair Maclean on the channel, as this guy's got some really good books, but sadly this is not one of them, and this is a book I would recommend to avoid, which I'll explain later on my review. Alright, on to the review. Plot. Sergeant Ryder is called in by his boss, Mahler, to report to him at once and pick up his son, Jeff, a highway patrol officer. When asked what this is about, Mahler refuses to explain over the phone and hangs up. Despite being old, Ryder is tough and keeps himself in shape. Taking his .38 revolver and puts on his uniform, he leaves his house in California, then gets into his battered Peugeot and drives a few blocks, reaching his son's house. Jeff is much younger and muscular than his father. When Jeff asks what this is about, Ryder tells him to get dressed and into his car. When both men report to Mahler, he explains that there's been a kidnapping of 5 nuclear scientists and physicists, including Ryder's wife and Jeff's mother. Mahler adds there isn't much evidence left behind and doesn't know who's doing it. Jeff wants to know if his mother's alright, while Ryder is annoyed that the San Refrino nuclear plant needed better security, which he filed a complaint and felt it was ignored. Mahler tells them this situation is being handled, but both men want to investigate it for themselves. Mahler nods his head, allowing the two to go over to the nuclear plant in San Diego. Upon arriving at the plant, both Ryder and Jeff learn how the kidnapping happened by the head of security. When an armored truck carrying several drums of U-235 and plutonium was hijacked by a squad of heavily armed men, they also took the people they wanted and drove off in an armored truck with a van. Ryder believes someone from the inside was working against the nuclear plant. However, his theory is dismissed by both head of security and the 2 cops sent there. Ryder and Jeff meet Dr. Blonsky as he explains how the uranium are used and stored, then are informed the armored truck was found with the crew and guards dead inside, but no leads on the kidnapped scientists are. Ryder and Jeff then go over to Susan's house, one of the kidnapped victims. They find her house broken into by force, along with her personal items missing. Ryder swoops around and is told by the other officers not to touch evidence, but tells them off. Both Ryder and Jeff return to Mahler's office. He tells them the FBI is taking over the investigation and doesn't want them interfering or asking any more questions. Frustrated, Jeff turns over his badge and sidearm while Mahler demands Ryder to do the same. He refuses and states his sidearm is his personal weapon and is willing to fight against his own boss if he has to in court, and lights a cigarette in his office while blowing smoke rings, annoying Mahler. Leaving the police station, both Ryder and Jeff plan to take matters into their own hands, and with the aid of Dr. Jablonski. While going over the evidence, Ryder took they find a lead. Susan wrote down a name before she was taken. Morrow. As Ryder and Jeff try getting more information on Morrow, along with the kidnapping, they are harassed by both police and FBI. After having their house searched and ignoring their boss's warning, Ryder and Jeff lure a unmarked car and disarm both agents, sending a warning to Major Dune. Ryder and Jeff then go to Donahue, knocking him out and handcuffing him inside his house. They search for both evidence on Morrow, along with clearing out Donahue's armory, taking lots of ammo and AK assault rifles. When Ryder is questioned by Major Dune, Ryder states he can report the armory as stolen and blackmails him to allow Ryder and Jeff to continue their investigation against Dune's will. The next day, a small earthquake is triggered and news stations broadcast a tape recorded by Morrow, a terrorist leader who threatens the destruction of California and refuses to hand over the hostages. Morrow is 6 feet tall, has an eye patch over his right eye, and wears 2 black gloves. His threat has the whole state in panic, with the CIA getting involved as well, but they are told bad news when Peggy, Jeff's sister, has been kidnapped and 2 guards were killed. Ryder strongly believes there are people working against their own government, as they found a sheriff dead in his home earlier, believing he knew something about the terrorist plot. After spending days and weeks talking and insulting people, along with reading books on anything to aid Ryder and those joining his side, all the while trying to find where Morrow is and where he is holding the hostages at, along with finding any more clues, then Morrow makes another broadcast threatening to destroy all of Los Angeles unless the President of the United States doesn't meet his demands. Ryder and Jeff are able to track down where Morrow is, as he stationed himself in Nevada, and the President is willing to pay Morrow over $5 million. Ryder knows Morrow is going to carry out his act of terror. With the aid of the military and law enforcement, Ryder and Jeff plan to rescue the hostages and take down Morrow before he can activate his hidden bombs. Can 2 local cops save California from complete destruction, or is it too late? Goodbye California is a cheap, awful, cartoonish thriller. From its terrible plot that is a complete mess to read, at times doesn't make much sense, to its flat, wooded, and unlikable characters. While the idea of terrorists using bombs to cause a massive earthquake as a terror attack is interesting and dark, however, Morrow has no reason for doing this other than just wanting to. Most of the novel is spent with characters talking, arguing, or insulting each other, with hardly any action happening, as I found most of the conversations so boring it really made reading these scenes very dull. Every character within this novel was either flat, boring, or unlikable. Sergeant Ryder is a real prick. He is a very mean, grumpy, and heartless, and seems to care little for his wife, daughter, or son who's trying to aid him. He butts heads with everyone in the novel. He is always right and never wrong, able to gain information within minutes from reading books or just looking at maps. He never struggles, always finding what he's looking for, or know where the enemy is going to be next. At one point, he is having an argument with his son, which Jeff replies, "Honest to God, Dad, you're the most infuriating, exacerbating character that has ever walked." Reading this dialogue made me cringe and felt like it was breaking the fourth wall. Sergeant Ryder was like Dirty Harry, but if he had no heart or soul. While Jeff is okay, but Alistair doesn't focus much on him, while the other law enforcement characters get little to not much screen time, and Alistair doesn't add any charm or personality to them. And the second worst character is Morrow, a terrorist leader who isn't angry or wants revenge against the world for some tragic event. No, all he wants to do is cause mass destruction with a high death toll, all because he felt like it. And not once does he get angry or raise his voice. He's always calm, happy, and keeps thanking people and apologizes to anyone he speaks with. I really couldn't get behind Morrow, as he didn't feel like a real terrorist leader planning world domination. There's also parts where the author spends way too much time on characters trying to figure out where the terrorists came from and their nationality is, along with where they are hiding at. Then they try figuring out which country is aiding the terrorists. Again, these scenes could go far too long, as I wish Alistair would just simplify it. Lastly, this novel is way too long, as Alistair just word vomits so many conversations with little to no action happening, making a real chore to get through this slow burn of a novel with a really shitty finale. If Alistair rewrote the whole novel, cut half of the dull conversations out, added more action, improved the plot, and making the characters better and more believable, this could have been a way better novel. Overall, don't bother reading Goodbye California. There are way better thrillers that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This novel, however, might put you to sleep for how dull and boring it is. Alright, that's a review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, this was a really disappointing thriller. Like, I have read some really good books by Alistair Maclean back in the day when I started collecting books. As there were some really good thrillers I read by him, and some that I felt were okay or not that good compared to the movies they were based on. But this is one of the worst books I've read by Alistair Maclean so far. Even before I read this book, I've never seen some like low star ratings on Goodbye California, and I thought people were just either being too hard on the book or were comparing it to today's times. As I really don't like when I see people use the word dated in the reviews. To me, it's like you're comparing a book to today's times. I don't do that. I just read for the book for what it is and just read to have fun. However, after I finished reading Goodbye California last night, these reviews were right. This is not a good book at all. It is one of like Alistair's worst books. Like, I know not every author is gonna always hit it out of a home run with success every time. Like that, as every author is gonna have their fair share of stinkers. But this book is one of the worst ones I've read by Alistair Maclean. Oh boy, so where to begin with this one? Okay, I'll start with the fact the one thing I will say that I find interesting is the whole terrorist plot, like the whole idea of kidnapping a bunch of nuclear scientists and physicists and stealing some hardware to create nuclear or atomic bombs to use as weapons to cause a earthquake to destroy cities is a really interesting idea. However, I felt this was not well executed. Like, Alistair did not execute this idea well at all. He just kind of wrote it on the spot and did not like do a read before saying, "Okay, I'm just going to publish it now." I wish he did, because if he had reread the book, rewrote it, made some improvements, it would have been way better. So the only thing I will say is interesting is the plot, like the whole idea. To me, it kind of makes me think of that kind of that one James Bond movie, A View to a Kill, where Christopher Walken's character is going to cause damage to Silicon Valley, so that way his company reigns supreme. That's what it kind of made me think of in a way when I was reading this book. So the whole plot kind of thought it does have a bit of that James Bond kind of like feel to it, like a person wants to attack a major city and to cause mass destruction at high def tone. You got a person that's trying to stop them, so that's what it kind of made me think of. But sadly, this is no James Bond. So that's the only thing I liked with the book. That's the only thing I liked with the book. However, the rest of it is completely awful. So as I said, the plot is very slow, dull, boring, and very cartoonish at times. Like, it felt like very cartoony with how the plot was. So the two main characters, Sergeant Ryder, who, as I said before, is a real prick in the book. He's just an arrogant asshole. He is hardly nice to anyone. He's constantly butting heads with everyone in the book, even his own son is trying to help him at times. He's constantly arguing with everyone he interacts with. He has hardly anything nice to say at all. He always has like a snarky comment, and he proves that he's always right. He's never wrong. He knows how to find information and gather data within minutes, and he knows where to find people. He knows exactly where to go to find people. As I was reading this book, where he's like going to these people, and he's able to prove that they're working for the terrorists. Like, how the hell are you doing this? How is this possible? Like, sure, when you find some evidence that he's taken and begins going like different places and stuff, he proceeds to find more of it. But then later on in the book, he's just able to find exactly what he's looking for, and he never struggles once throughout the book, and I thought this is really becoming unbelievable. Sure, his son Jeff helps him a couple times, but it's mostly Ryder who's doing all the work himself, and anyone that comes to aid him, he treats him like shit throughout the entirety of the book. And I really hated this character. I just thought, I don't care for this character or the other characters I don't like. Jeff is somewhat the more likable character, as he's very concerned about his mother and sister that have been kidnapped. Ryder, in their hand, is just this miserable prick that just wants to do everything himself because he needs something to keep him busy. Yeah, as I said, like as I read more of this character, I thought he feels like he's like Dirty Harry, but if he had no heart or soul, and that's what it felt like. It's like if Dirty Harry was just completely unlikable, as that would really suck. As that's what makes a character interesting. When a character is likable, has interesting personality to them or charm, that makes them more interesting. Sure, I'm not saying every character has to be likable, but if you just make everyone just complete dull, flat, boring characters with no personality, you're just going to have one character who's just all miserable and is just going to be an asshole to everyone, then forget it. I'm not going to be interested in a character like that. But as I said, he never struggles. He finds like information like that. If he doesn't have the information, he'll just get a book on the subject, read it, and he'll instantly know where to go next. It was like really unbelievable. I really wish that Alistair had the character working with other characters, so its characters sharing knowledge with him, and then the two, as two or more characters talk together, they kind of start brainstorming ideas, working together as a team. And then, of course, there's the other characters that we hardly get to know in the book, who are just as I said, they're not really interesting. And and the one issue I had with the plot with this book was later on in the book, Jeff's sister gets kidnapped later on in the book, and it's never explained why she was kidnapped. Like, Morrill explains that he kidnapped the scientist and physicist so that way he can use the hardware he stole from the plant to make bombs, which makes sense. But later in the book, he decides, I'm going to kidnap Sergeant Ryder's daughter, Peggy, for no reason other than just to piss him off. And then, of course, later, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Ryder, but I had to do it. This is one thing another character I really did not like in the book at all, and I really could not get behind this character, what he was trying to do. Morrill, this terrorist leader who is completely chilled, calm, laid back. He never gets angry once. He never raises his voice ever. He's always saying thank you and apologizing to everyone he speaks to. And it's like, this guy is just being way too nice to be a villain. Like, villains are not supposed to be nice. Sure, there's villains that can act like, very professional and be act like what's the term? Like, basically they're I'm trying to put the term like, basically what I'm saying is that when villains interact with other characters, they can have different ways of interacting with people and stuff, but when they're just being super polite and nice to everyone, I find it really unbelievable. I just find it very difficult to get behind this character and be convinced, okay, this is a real serious threat to these characters, that they have a real challenge ahead of them, and this man or woman poses a serious threat to to a world or country, whatever. But if you're just going to have them be like this, very polite and chilled person, then I am not gonna enjoy it. I'm just gonna be bored. It's like, really, you're gonna make the villain just too likable, essentially. The villain can't be too likable. There has to be a line drawn where they got a personality that you either like or you don't like. And to me, Morrill was just too likable. He was just too friendly and happy, and he didn't not really feel like a terrorist leader at all. And he has no motive for why he's doing this, because I was curious, why is he doing this? I had some theories thinking why he could be doing this, but he doesn't have any. He never states once why he's doing this, simply other than simply, I felt like it. And it's just really boring. Villains need to have reasons for what they're doing. They're not going to just do something on a whim because they feel like it. They need a reason for it. So I felt Alistair just put no thought into giving the character a backstory on why he's doing this or his motive. He doesn't. He just has, here's a villain, he appears, and he's going to do this for no reason other than to make something happen. It was not good. There's, as I said, there is hardly any action in this book. It is mostly just talking, dull, boring conversations, and arguing. I really was getting bored reading these scenes, as I was really skimming to get through this book, as this is a very thick book. Alistair Maclean novels are not usually that thick, but this one's one of his thickest, and holy shit, I really wish he cut down on the conversations, because they're boring as hell. There is nothing interesting to of what these characters are saying or interacting with each other. It's completely boring. It's either Ryder arguing with someone, butting heads, or just being an asshole, as he mostly is, and very little does he show sympathy. He doesn't show any sympathy or empathy for what's happening, what's going on. He's just completely heartless. And then the rest of the cast of characters, there's just no one that really stands out or is likable, and I just thought, I was really envisioning a completely different book, and what I got was the polar opposite, and it just sucks. There's no action. There's very little. Like I was expecting, some more scenes of action, some shootouts, even car chases, maybe. Nope, we don't get any of that. We get a bit of destruction, but that's it. And it's very like PG the way that Alistair does it. Like, come on, man, give us more. Like, be more graphic and shocking with this destruction scene. Like, come on. And he doesn't go for it, unfortunately. And the finale is a huge letdown. It's a complete bore. By the time I got to the end of this book, I was like, this was all for nothing. I read this just to bore the living hell out of me. There's no twist or turns. There's no big action moment at the end of the book. It's completely boring, and I was like, this just sucks. As you know, as I said, Alistair has written some really good books that I've read in the past, and this is definitely not one of his best. So overall, just avoid Goodbye California, as you can find way better thrillers in this book, and even movies that are just way better than this, like way better than this novel. So hopefully when I go to read another Alistair Maclean novel, it will be definitely a lot better than this one. Alright, that's the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and a quick little update before I go. I said this at my last video of 2025, which I said I was changing the format on how I was going to be doing the channel, which I was going to be spending like one week writing my novel projects and then another reading. I am abandoning that because it is not working out in my favor. As you probably noticed, this year, my reviews have been kind of scattered, and I am not happy with it. I only got 2 reviews out in January, then another 2 in February, and then only 1 in March, and I'm not happy with this at all. It's trying to do this whole new method is not working out in my favor, and I feel it's been making me stressful and just feeling overwhelmed at times. So I decided, to hell with it. I'm going back to my old method, which was basically spend every day reading 100 pages a day, and then working on my novel projects or drawing or whatever. As I'm going back to my old way, as I found that more effective than trying to do adopt some new method, which is not working out at all. So starting this month in April, I'm going to be reading 100 pages a day, and then doing something else after that. So I'm going back to my old method of reading, and this will help me get back on track with my channel to be posting more book reviews and other fiction-related content. As I was just really annoyed because I was originally planning to get some more book reviews back in March, and I wanted to do some more furry book reviews before I left for the upcoming FurryCon, but I had no time to get another review up, and then even after I got back from the FurryCon, I wanted to post some more book reviews before the month ended, and it just went, and the March just completely ended. And March completely ended in a short period of time before I could do anything, and I just felt like just trying this new method is not working for me. So back to the old method. As the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Alright, that's our review today. I hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, where I post book reviews, book hauls, or fiction-related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.